Hi, this is Michael, and I'm with Julia this morning, Julia Brightman, of Creme Brew Lait and the Southill Tea Rooms. Very nice to be here out in the countryside, and it's really nice to sit down with you, Julia. I know you've been sort of really excited about opening here recently.
Very excited, and it's lovely to welcome you to the tea room.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Each time I've come here, it's been a pleasure. I've been felt really welcomed. What I'd like to do today is just have a little chat through, Julie, with you about where you've come from,
Yes.
your development in catering, some of the things that inspire you, some things that motivate you, why you do what you do, and
Okay.
get that kind of real sense of what it's like to be in business in Bedfordshire,
Yeah.
and hopes and aspirations, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
that's fine.
Brilliant. So you are a local lass. We're in Southill in Bedfordshire, but you
We are.
you grew up round the corner from here. That's that right?
I did. I grew up in the next village called Stanford. But my mum was born in one of the cottages just down the road here in Southill, and which was where my grandparents lived for all of their lives. And my auntie also lived in the village here until recently too.
Yep.
And I went to school in the village here.
Right. Yeah.
So I still
So it's
know
real,
a lot of
it's real
people.
sort of coming back. It's real homecoming for you, isn't it?
It is a
Yes.
real homecoming. Yes, it
Yeah.
really
Brilliant.
is.
So there's that community feel is going to be quite an important thing of reopening here. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Good. So you've been in catering for a little while.
8 years.
8 years.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us a little about the sorts of things you were doing before coming here.
Okay, so before coming here, my business, Creme Brew Lait, we were very much an events catering company. So we were doing like small tea parties in people's homes, larger events, weddings, funerals, corporate events.
Yeah.
So very much a bit of everything, really. But obviously, one of my dreams has always been to have my own base and a place that I could work from properly rather than working from home.
Yeah.
And have somewhere that people could come to as well and
Brilliant.
enjoy my food.
Yeah. Excellent. So some of the things that you're doing in the corporate events catering, you must have seen quite a few things happening there. Any particular favorite stories? You haven't got to say who or what, but there must have been some little funny anecdotes along the way. Do you think?
Oh, there's been some really interesting events actually. Some really lovely ones. I did a reception for the award winners for the Chamber of Commerce Awards, and that was lovely because I got to meet everybody. And it was lovely to be able to create really special food for them. And I also went along to a company that received the Queen's Award for industry as well, which was a very special event, and they wanted to create a traditional tea party for all their staff to reward them because it's a team effort receiving an award like that. But yeah, it's just really nice.
We see that a lot in business, don't we? Particularly things. I mean, you mentioned the chamber. Our experience with the chamber has been really good. Where you've got events celebrating success and teams coming together, food is always a really important part of that, isn't it?
Food is a massively important part of it, and obviously it needs to be right for the event. And obviously I love creating the food and matching it to whatever the event is going to be. And obviously the group of people that are there. So because it can be quite a diverse range of people, and something that I'm passionate about in my business is it's catering for everybody, that all allergies and dietary requirements are all catered for.
Sure. Yeah, we're super important these days to get that absolutely right.
Very important.
Be on the ball with it. And it becomes, what your service becomes a more inclusive service, doesn't it?
Totally.
The more bases you cover with that. Now it's the things around quite happily.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pick up on, you mentioned with the events and the corporate side of things. So where you've got winners of awards and celebrations going on, you also mentioned about sort of catering for funerals and other events as well. So you're seeing all sides of life, aren't you?
Totally seeing all sides of life. And for me, catering for funerals is something that I actually take great pride from doing, because I really, it's really lovely to feel that I might have done something to help someone. By taking that burden from them on such a really emotionally charged day for them, and obviously making it a celebration of that person's life as well, by incorporating personal things like their favourite foods and colours, and just putting out things like pictures for them and flowers, just to make it all about that particular person.
So we're not just talking about putting food on the table, are we here? We're talking
Definitely
about
not.
getting to know people,
Yes.
finding out what's important to them, getting some insight into their lives, their situations,
Yes.
that, that celebration of life. On the other side of it, with the positive celebrations as well, you've got
Yes.
big success stories coming through with that too. So food is a big part of celebrations. The
It's a
story
massive part of
behind
the
it,
celebration. Yes,
story
it
behind it
is.
is really good.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Stepping forward into the tea room setting,
Yeah.
celebrations are quite different, aren't they? But they're still very personal.
They are very personal, which is why when I have customers book and they come here for afternoon tea, I always go and greet them. And when I'm taking a booking for an afternoon tea, I will always find out if there's anything special that I can do just to make it not just an afternoon tea, it's a special occasion.
Yeah,
And it's about creating memories for people, because time is so precious. And we all need those special moments, because they're what memories are made of.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So a little bit then about what it was that drew you to, sort of moving from the corporate catering to taking on the tea rooms, which is quite a recent development, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I've only been at the tea room now for 8 weeks that we've been open. So obviously had quite a challenge in getting the tea room ready. But I've always wanted to have my own place that people could come to and try my food. So not necessarily just for a special occasion. It could be that just to get together with friends or family. Um, or they might just want to come for a chat as well. This obviously everybody gets lonely at times as well. And I want this to be a place where people feel that they can come to, and it is a community as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really good. So we're seeing that personal touch coming through
Yes,
all the way with this, aren't we? It's
totally.
a very personal,
Yeah,
very
I mean,
personal
all of
community.
our food is all freshly homemade. Food is made to order when people come into the tea room, and I want it to be that unique, special experience for
Yeah,
them.
lovely. Yeah, good. So the tea room you've taken on recently,
Yes, I have.
it was previous. The property was previous to tea room, and it was very popular then. It was closed for a little while. You've taken it on, and you've
Yes.
really put your own stamp on it, haven't
I have, because literally it was just an empty shell
you?
of a building that was looking very tired and a little bit sad, really. So I wanted to put life back into the tea room and into the community. So I wanted to keep it very traditional, keep the walls looking fresh and clean. I've got an extensive collection of vintage china and bunting and lots of pretty china that I've decorated the tea room with. So I wanted it to have that traditional, comfortable feel to it.
Yeah, lovely. And again, it kind of ties back into that homecoming feel, I guess,
Totally.
for opening here.
I want it to be a welcoming place for people to come to, that they can come and they can enjoy just good traditional home cooked food with good tea and coffee as well.
Yeah, lovely. And it is really good coffee, I have to say. Um, it's not always been plain sailing. I know, Julia, life throws its curveballs at us.
Totally.
And
Totally. So I never envisaged that I would be here running Southwell Tea Rooms. It was a dream for me. Not anything that I ever in a million years envisaged that I would be doing. If you go back to before starting my business, I had a career in the civil service, but then you never ever know what life is going to throw at you. And I was diagnosed with an aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. And very shortly after I started my chemotherapy, the civil service decided that they would release me from my job, which was a really devastating time for me, with also having all of my cancer treatment. So shortly after starting my chemotherapy, I lost my job with the civil service. They wouldn't keep my job open for me. And so it was a really devastating time for me, with losing my job and going through all of the cancer treatment. So when I did have a good day, I reignited my love for baking, and I would make a cake. And one Friday afternoon, I made a cake, and then I thought, what else can I do? So I made some sausage rolls and some sandwiches and things, and I made it into a little tea party in my kitchen for my 2 children when they came home from school. And they loved it, and it was a real high for me, because I felt like I was actually doing something. And then my friends got to hear about it, and they all wanted to come and have one of my afternoon teas. And then when my chemo finished and my other treatment, I kind of sat back and I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Because I really honestly felt like I was on the scrap heap. That did cut very, very deeply with me. I felt very, very hurt by it. And your whole life is literally ripped away from you.
Sometimes the corporate world can be really brutal like that.
Yes, it can. It
And I
can.
think sometimes one of the missing elements, when if something happens and you find yourself not where you were employed at a time when you
Yeah.
are extremely vulnerable, you lose that
Exactly.
support network, don't you?
Totally.
You lose
Totally.
the
Yes, because a lot
daily
of
contact with friends.
yeah, a lot of my friends were work related, and all of a sudden you are in a very, very isolating position.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious. I had 3 years at home with receiving cancer treatment in the end, and I just wanted to get out and do something. And my sister got married, and I did a little bit of catering for that and made her wedding cake,
Okay.
which I loved. And I planned a hen weekend. So it really got me into, thinking, what can I do? And then a friend gave me a set of vintage china,
Oh,
because I had none at all. And I just thought, in the end, I've got no job. I've got nothing else in the pipeline. Why don't I just try
give it
this?
a go. Yeah.
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 And then 8 years later,
Look where we are now.
yeah,
Yeah.
8 years later, I've been in business 8 years. I can't honestly believe that. Obviously, I had the challenge of COVID, which I thought would literally finish my business, because I was purely doing events. And it was a crucial point for me with my business. And I had to think really hard and fast of what I was going to do to still be able to carry on, and came up with the idea of doing treat boxes. I tried it out on my neighbours and did them a weekly delivery every Sunday afternoon. They loved it. So I then went to Facebook and advertised it, and went on from there, and it evolved into doing afternoon tea in a box, which actually was phenomenally successful.
Yeah.
And in the period of COVID, I actually doubled the turnover of my business. I couldn't believe it. I was just busy beyond my wildest dreams, really.
So that's a real key, isn't it?
It is.
In your story, we've seen the challenges, we've seen the
Yes.
resilience to see through your health crisis, if you like,
Yes.
to look at doing something different,
Totally.
to reset and reestablish yourself, from doing your tea parties, the catering there. You mentioned your sister as well.
Yeah.
I've met your sister the other day on the phone, and
Yes.
and I can imagine the two of you getting together and having a real hoot.
Oh,
Really,
she is lovely. She is so supportive.
Yeah.
And she's been there obviously all through my cancer treatment, and every step of the way through my journey to to coming here to the tea rooms. It's so much part of our history as a family. And it honestly does feel like I've come home here.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Go back on resilience again. You know, where you've hit the COVID, you've had that moment then to think, oh, how do we do it?
Yeah.
But instead of, thinking, caving in and thinking, oh, it's you've then your resilience has come through, where you've pivoted to
Yes.
a different adapting your service.
Yeah,
And again, I think, you did well through that time.
I did.
But I'm thinking now about the benefit to the community as well. Those people who were
Yeah.
enjoying those treats,
Yes.
the
It
uplift
was,
that
yeah, I mean,
provide.
the afternoon tea boxes were just the most amazing success. Yeah, and it was a real challenge because I couldn't get hold of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be creative
Yeah.
in adapting boxes. How was I actually going to get all of one of my luxury afternoon teas into a box? Because it is an art of where everything goes in the box.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I started getting calls from families saying, how about it's our parents' wedding anniversary? There are 4 parts of our family locally. Could we tie it in that you deliver to all of us an hour before?
Okay.
And then we're going to have a Zoom anniversary party.
Oh, brilliant idea.
So
Brilliant idea.
they had their parties over Zoom. Fantastic. So they'd all got their afternoon teas, sitting there enjoying it. All right, they weren't physically together, but they were together to celebrate that.
I love that personal aspect of this.
It's just lovely.
You're making a difference
Yeah.
to people. And some might think, oh, but it's a transitional thing, isn't it?
It totally is.
You're giving a special moment for people who can't get together.
Yes.
Something that's meaningful.
I used to offer gift message cards as well. That I used to get people that contacted me from all over the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, because people couldn't travel, but they wanted their loved ones to know that they were thinking of them. So I used to write the messages out, and I did have some quite funny ones sometimes. So I used to feel a bit funny reading some of them out, particularly some of the Valentine's Day ones.
Yeah.
They could be quite interesting. So, but it was just lovely. I've had people in tears on their doorstep of sheer joy and happiness that, one, they've got this afternoon tea to enjoy, but more importantly, that their family and their friends have been thinking about them and they've arranged it for them. And just being able to do those things for people was just truly special.
Lovely. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So here at the tea rooms, you're open what days? So
Wednesday to Sunday.
Yeah.
So we open at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
Until 4:30 in the afternoon. So we start off with our breakfast baps. So if you're a sausage, bacon and egg person, you can come along and have your fill of that. And then we change over for lunches and afternoon tea. But of course, there's no particular time for cake and afternoon tea. So if you want to come along first thing in the morning, we often get cyclists that come in. They might have already done 20, 30 miles on their bikes. So they're ready.
Or they're saying they've done
that. They're saying they've done that. But they're just come in. They're a little bit weary and they want a nice tea or coffee to pick themselves up.
Yeah.
And either have breakfast or they have a nice bit of cake to go with it.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. Super. Excellent. So, what's the future look like? I know we're sort of only recently opened. Just kind of finding your feet.
Finding my feet, but obviously I'm very much about bringing in the community here into the tea room. So going to be doing some events. Some of those will be community only, but also the wider community as well.
Yeah.
We've got a choir that's coming to sing at the end of the month. We're going to be doing some creative workshops as well. And of course, celebrating people's special occasions with them. And then looking further ahead, we have other additional plans for other areas of the tea room and to develop the site here as well.
Brilliant. We'll look forward to how things develop. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Julia, for
You're very, very welcome.
sitting down with us and for sharing some of your story, some of your passions, some of your interests, your excitement, and how things are going to go to the future. It's been a brilliant moment to sit down.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to coming back and seeing you again. And
Yes, and have more cake.
oh, certainly will do. Certainly will do. So that's lovely. So we've been here from the podcast Making It Work, which is all about local businesses getting through the things that make a difference. How we get on, finding the ways to make things work.
Yeah.
Sometimes in challenging times, sometimes pivoting, finding a way to get on. But there's always a story behind it, and it's always about the people in the business doing what they do, the personal touch.
Well, thank you for letting me share my story.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.